Hey everybody, what's up? It's Tipping the Scales. I'm your girl, Shea Dawson.
And I'm Tyneeha. Welcome back, guys. Super happy to have you.
It's a great place to be today, Tyneeha.
I think so.
Tell us why. What do we got here today?
Well, first of all, I could not sleep last night just with the anticipation of having the legendary Coach Jay Wright on our pod today.
Hall of Fame. Like what?
Super excited. I couldn't sleep. Mikhail kept saying, relax, Mom, relax. You know, Coach, he said, why are you so geeked out? You know it's Coach. I'm like, it's a special time, Mikhail. Mind your business.
And you've evolved. You're more than a mom. You're a podcaster now. So it's a different kind of relationship right now.
Exactly. But welcome, Coach.
He was always a stud, man. She was a star all before podcast time. When I was recruiting Mikhail, she was getting her MBA, graduate student here at Villanova, full-time job, superstar mom. She's always been a star at Villanova. So I'm psyched to see you guys. I watched I don't know if it was your first podcast, but one of them I saw, and it was very cool.
Yes, Coach.
And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Awesome.
We love it.
And I want to officially introduce you to my co-host, who is, I call her my sister. She is awesome. And we met back when we worked at the Sixers together and just have been very close friends ever since, and decided to go on this podcast journey together. And we've been loving it ever since.
Yeah, we've been just like kids in a candy store.
So Coach, this is Shea Dawson, my
Coach.
girl. So she is excited. I think even she loves basketball. She can talk to you about that a little bit, but she is too pumped that you're here today.
There's a backstory too. So Gina Charles and Gary Charles are like my mentors as well. I grew up working their tournaments. And so Gina always talked about you when you came on the recruiting trail at Bishop Gorman. She'd be like, Jay Wright is here. So I always know how excited she used to get to see you. So this is an awesome and full circle moment just to have you on the pod. So thank you, Coach, for doing this for us.
Yeah. And shout out to Arlisha, who has helped me put all this together. Arlisha, we love you. We know you don't love to be on the camera. Although one day I'm gonna have to drag her on.
So give Arlisha a shout out though. What's Arlisha's her function? Like, what does she do? I know she's the cog to the wheels. So
I would like to hear your definition of what Arlisha's function is.
Oh my, Arlisha, I feel like she does everything.
Everything.
I mean, for us, we're gonna talk about in a little bit how important the families are to the success of Villanova. Like, that's super important, a coach. But Arlisha is just like, I believe her official title is Director of Basketball Operations, but she does everything. Mm-hmm. And she is essential, not just to the players at Villanova and to Coach Wright, but she means so much to the parents and especially to the moms. Like, we consider her part of our family. We all have like a group text going on, and she's a part of that. So I love Arlisha. She's everything to me. I'm sure she is to you, Coach. Yes.
Well, the funny thing is, actually, so many. First of all, Shea, it is great to meet you finally, semi in person. And Gary Charles and Gina go back from when I was an assistant coach, my early days. So Gary actually, even before I got to be the head coach at Hofstra.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, when I was an assistant coach. And I was learning my way. Gary kind of groomed me too, because he was running the Panthers AAU program, and he had all the great players. And I didn't know what I was a young assistant, kind of under his wing a little bit. Then we went to Hofstra, and I got to know Gina real well and their kids. And we actually lived my son played baseball in the park right across the street from their house. So I would go to the game and I'd sneak out, go over to Gary's house, hang out with Gary and Gina. My wife be yelling at me, get over here, watch this game. Get over here.
Shout out to Patty.
Yes. We love Patty.
I love that. And if the listeners don't know, Gary Charles is the godfather of grassroots basketball. So look him up, Google him, and then it'll all make sense.
Very helpful context, Shea.
Yes.
So Coach, I mean, there's so much we can talk to you about, but I think it's important, like every time we have someone on our pod, we love for them to talk about like where they started. I mean, like your background and just your success speaks for itself. Like you are hands down one of the best coaches that has ever been in this game. And
You're biased.
you have,
You're like my mom, T. You're biased.
well, listen, I was saying it next, but I didn't get there yet, but I'm going to say it, that you have not only helped just Mikal get to where he needs to be, but you know, not just from a basketball standpoint and the things he is doing on the court, but off court. Like, look, we were vetting many coaches for Mikal when we were trying to decide where he wanted to be. But one of the main reasons why we collectively chose Villanova was because you help boys become men. And I think that is just incredible. The fact that you played such an important, because I was a single mom raising Mikal on my own. And I wanted Mikal to be up under someone's wing that was going to continue to develop him as a man and kind of carry the torch of all the work that I've been doing over the years. And when I passed that torch, man, I mean, I'm sure he'd say you're tough as hell for people who don't know. He has this beautiful smile. He seems, you know, laid back, laissez-faire type, but he's a beast. But I have so much respect for you because you have definitely helped create this amazing man that I have as a son. So thank you for that. I'm very appreciative of you for that.
Can I tell a story about that before
Yeah.
Do it. Go wherever you want to go. Yes.
And don't talk about my Dorn arms today, because I'm on the precipice of trying to find someone. And when you start talking about my wingspan, it goes crazy. People are like, oh my God, Mikal.
We're going there. So let Coach talk.
Beautiful. It's a beautiful wingspan. It's beautiful. And if not for that wingspan, Mikal would not be where he is.
Facts.
And it's attractive. It's an attractive wingspan.
It's not attractive, but okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I always tell this story, so I'm probably going to embarrass you, but I've told this story so many times because it's the classic story of what moms do, and it just happened to come out of you. But I never forget when we were at your house and Mikal committed to us, verbally committed, and you started crying. Mm-hmm. And I was like, T, are you all right? You're right. You said, I know I did my job.
Yeah.
I know I can pass him on to you. And I feel like I can now move on and do something for myself.
Yeah. Oh, Coach, don't make me cry.
I know, I'm crying. I'm crying.
Oh,
Tell me.
Man.
It was, I always share that with people to say, like, this is what these moms do.
Yeah.
And this is their whole, like, you gave up your whole life for 18 years. And it just came out of you, like right there. And it hit our staff, you know, like this is what we do. Like, this is our true responsibility. These moms pass on their kids to us. So you're right. Like, we are tough on them on the court, but off the court, we try to love them up. And every decision we make, we try to make like, this is T's son. Yeah. This would be, you know, my kids. I got to treat them the same way as if they were my kids. And a lot of that comes down to holding them accountable. Like, I know you joke that I'm tough, but there's a lot of times you were saying to me, like, hey, he better do better academically. This
he says I'm tough too.
Enough.
So
yeah, this isn't good enough. And we were in that together. You know, we were doing it together, that you had done this for 18 years, you know, passed up job opportunities, passed up social life, passed up everything to get him where he is. And then that was the moment, like, I realized, okay, now this is on me with you, because you were still in it, but that it's not just about him being a great player, but it's about him completing his growth as a man. You could only take him so far, and then he's got to move away from home. So who's he going to do that with? And that was, that always, I mean, a lot of parents at that time say, okay, we're passing him on to you. But you were like, we were in your house, you cooked for us, we had dinner, you were all happy. And all of a sudden, when he said, I'm coming to Villanova, bam, you started crying. And I remember sitting down next to you, like, you all right? And that statement, like, I did my job and now I'm passing on. It was so cool and so impactful to all of us. And it's something I always remember.
Yes. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you telling that story, although you have us crying.
Me too.
I didn't expect that.
But it was a very important time in my life because, just all the work that it takes to just raise a man and, raise a young boy to become a man on my own is extremely difficult. And like you said, there were so many sacrifices that I just had to make that I didn't think twice about it because it was the right thing to do to set my son up for success. So now that I knew, I think I was crying for so many different reasons. One, because he did the work. Like he worked really hard to play for a Division I school with an elite team and doing some amazing things. So he worked hard to get there physically and mentally, but also just in terms of school, and I told Mikkel that, it's student athlete for a reason because student is first and that he would have to be ready for the rigorous demands of Villanova's program because it's not easy. And I was just dealing with all those things in my head to say, okay, now it's time to pass this on to Coach Wright. And I knew that you were going to take care of him. And one of the best decisions that we've made, and Mikkel speaks very highly of you as well, just in terms of how you really helped him be the person that he is today. And not just that, but helped him mentally prepare because, Shea talks about it all the time on how basketball is so mental that people don't understand that. But, if it wasn't for you and your program and your assistant coaches and those under you and Shaq getting Mikkel physically ready, all the work that Mikkel had to do. But there was such the hard time of transitioning, going to a place where you don't know anyone, all we cross the country in Phoenix and being alone and not playing your first year and going from a team like yours that a winning team to now Shea, I think they won a couple games the first year.
It was rough. It was rough in the beginning.
It was rough.
Okay. I love that. And I want to know, when did you realize that, I guess when did you get bit by the coaching bug? And then when did you realize basketball is the end result, but that you have to, accept people's children and really take that in and understand that's what you got to do first before you can actually get them to do what you need them to do, X and O's wise. When did it all start for you that you were? Yeah.
There's so many things I'm 60 now, and
you look good, Coach.
Wow.
Oh, T, it's
I'm
killing
chasing
me.
that.
Literally, one of the finest
60.
coaches. I'm just gonna say it in the whole thing. So just do your thing, Coach.
They all know. Listen, I have to say this really quick. So when Mikkel committed to Villanova, the next day at work, they're like, "Oh my God, this coach is so beautiful. He runs down the shore." And so I was like, "Oh my God, please do not talk about Coach like that." But all the women are obsessed with Coach Wright.
So funny. It's true, Coach.
But Patty, we know he's yours, so we don't want any problems.
That's all over now, T. That's all going down the tubes now, T. It's 60. But at 60, I try to remember. What I thought of as a player. I always try to remember that. I work hard, and I keep telling my assistants now, don't forget that. Don't get so into coaching and thinking like a coach, which we have to do, that you forget what you thought like as a player. I think, I don't know if I've done a lot of things well, but one of the things I've tried to do is I always keep in my mind, what did I think like as a player? And to your question, Shea, I thought I was at Bucknell. I wasn't even at Villanova. I was at Bucknell. I thought I was going to play in the NBA. I had no chance of playing in the NBA. Yeah. But in my mind, I didn't know that, so I do think every player that we have here, even though, I'm experienced enough that I know who has a chance of playing the NBA and who doesn't, I still keep in my mind, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a good thing. Like, he believes he could be an NBA player. So it's not my job to crush his dream. It's my job to tell him the truth and what does he have to do to get there. And then at some point, when they get to be a junior or senior, if they're not going to get there, really start preparing them honestly for what the next step would be.
Right.
And that whole process, making them understand that becoming the best man and the best person you can be is actually going to give you your best chance to be the best player and a pro. We really believe in that. And you asked me, like, when did that hit me? Like, right out of college, I worked for the Philadelphia Stars. I don't know, it was a USFL football team. I worked in marketing and I loved it. It was pro sports. We won the USFL championship and I got a championship ring. It was all cool. And I took a job at University of Rochester, Division III.
Mm-hmm.
And I was assistant intramural director and assistant coach and JV coach. That was my job. I made $10,000 a year. And
oh, wow.
I got there for like 2 or 3 days and I started working with these young kids and meeting their parents and recruiting. And it took me like 3 days. And I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. I love this. I love being a part of their lives. I love meeting the parents. I love being a part of the family.
Yeah.
And what's so crazy is now, and I've had so much fun and just an incredible career. And it's these relationships, like with Tyneeha. I'm so proud of Mikhail. I'm so proud of Tyneeha. I know this was not easy where he is right now, where Tyneeha is right now, was not easy on either one of them.
Yes.
And
tell everybody, because
to be a part of that, and when we look each other in the eye, we know what we went through and we know where we are now and we share that forever. I love that about coaching. What's really changing now, and it's not a bad thing, it's just the evolution of the game has gotten so big and there's so much money in it that basketball at this level now, college, is closer to pro basketball than it is to high school basketball, where rightfully so, there's so much opportunity for these guys to make money now while they're in college. And we've got to work on that. And they're really making college decisions now based on where can I make the most money. And when Tyneeha made her decision with Mikhail did, it was, where's the chance I can grow into a man? Where's the chance I'm going to get the best education? And where is the chance that I can be the best basketball player I can be? If it's an NBA player, it is. If it's not, it's not. Now it's become such a business. It's now like, I don't care as much if I get my education. I want to get to be a pro. And if I get my education along the line, fine. If I don't, maybe I'll come back and get it later. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just where it's evolved. It's different for me now because I really got into it because I love the relationship of guys. Shea, every guy that's come to school here, every guy that hasn't left early for the NBA has got his degree on time, 4 years.
Yes.
100%.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That is amazing.
And the guys that have left have come back.
Huge.
Yeah. And guys have left have come back. Like Tyneeha, this next week coming up, Malik Wayans is going to walk in our senior night after playing in the NBA, he came back, he's finished his degree.
That is
like,
awesome.
That's what I love about it. And that's what got me the bug to answer your question.
Yeah. And I was going to say, just for me, I told Mikhail, because of course, you have players who really aspire to play in the NBA, and that's why they're playing college ball to help prepare them to get to the next level. But I told Mikhail, like, our deal is like, look, I'm going to support you on your path to make it to the NBA. But Mikhail's just so focused on the moment, like right now, like, what can I do to be the best college basketball player I can be? But at the same time, I said, Mikhail, I need you to get me that degree, buddy. Like, that's going to mean more to me than anything else.
Yeah.
Because that was important, because it took me forever to get my undergrad degree. Like, I talked about it previously, but I had to take one class at a time to get it done, because I was trying to climb the corporate ladder at work.
Yep.
I was staying home, raising the son. And I was trying to balance all of these things, but my education was important. So although it felt like it took a decade to get it done, I made sure to complete it. So, I wanted Mikkel to experience the college life because it was very much different from me being a mom in school simultaneously. So I'm so happy that Villanova has had the success that they've had, and most of their athletes getting their degrees, which is important because you got to have a fallback plan, and we'll get to that. But shout out to just Villanova and their program to show those guys and women in the program as well that your degree is important and is something that you can fall back on once your NBA career or your professional basketball career ends. Yeah. So thank you for that, Coach. You mentioned, go ahead.
Well, I would like to say it comes, you're thanking Villanova, and I appreciate that, but we find the people that want what we want for our players.
Yes, go there. Yes.
It's not like we can't go into a home and say, look, you should value your son's education and you should value his growth as a man and want him to be a great player. We have to find someone that already values that. And T, you stay in touch with all of our moms. We've been so blessed here to find those people. Our latest guy that went early for the NBA was Jeremiah Robinson Earl, but the year before that, Sadiq Bey, his mom, Joanna.
Love him.
Sadiq Bey left after his sophomore year. We literally had to have a family meeting discussion with Joanna and Sadiq, and no one has these discussions. But Joanna was like, I don't want him to leave. I want him to get his degree first. I'm like, but he's going to be a first-round pick.
Right.
He might not. She's like, I know this is tough, but I want him to get his degree. And we had to go back and forth. Like, he literally almost came back as a first-round pick because they both wanted the degree. Now, business-wise, he just couldn't do it, but he'll finish. That's the parents. Like, that's the way you are, T, and that's the way our parents are. And we're just blessed to have those kind of parents.
Yeah. And I'm blessed just to be able to be part of the extended family of Villanova, because some of my best friends now are moms that I met at Villanova, and Sandra Brunson and Robin. Like, those are like my sisters. I call them for advice on a regular. And those are just people who, Robin Booth it is. So Phil Booth's mom. And they are like my sisters, and all of us, all the moms, like, we all stay in touch. So I wanted to ask you, because I think what you do is just so unique and it has to be challenging at the same time. If you can talk a little bit about, like, what is your process when you are vetting players to come play for Villanova? Because all the players are just good people and they come from great families, and it has to be a technique to what you're doing to get that secret sauce. So what are you looking for in players? Because I think you have just some really outstanding guys who are good men on the court and off the court. So how do you go about that?
It's a really difficult process, and it's really difficult on our assistant coaches because, like Shea, at overtime, there's a lot of great players out there, and especially since we've had success, a lot of great players think they want to come to Villanova. But what we really do is I've identified the talented players first, and our assistants work hard at getting to know their families and their inner circles. Sometimes it's a family member. A lot of times it's family members. Sometimes it's a coach they're close to. Sometimes it's an agent. There's so many people around them, and we try to determine, do these people want the same goals for their son or this young player as we do? We want them to be the best student, the best man, and the best player they can be. And we really believe if they're the best student and the best man, it'll actually help them be the best player. We believe that. Now, again, we can go say that to you, but if you don't believe it, when tough times hit, and we went through this, freshman year, Mikhail he's 160 pounds. He's getting killed. I'm like, I was worried about him getting hurt.
Mhm.
We had to sit down, with Tyneeha and we had to say like, look, I think he should redshirt. Like, we got to spend all this extra time
Yeah.
getting him stronger. He's going to be good, but if he doesn't get physically stronger, and we got to take extra time to get him there. If someone's not committed to the process, and we said like, it's going to give him more time to get his degree. We can concentrate on academics. If someone's not interested in that, you can't make them do it.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
we really vet the people around the player, because the player at the time he makes a decision, 16, 17, he's thinking basketball and he's
Yeah.
just young.
Yeah.
But when things get tough, he's going to go to his family. And if his family doesn't want the same things for him that we do, it's not going to work. So, and that's why you see that that's why you're friends with all the moms, because they're all just like, they're like you,
Mhm.
or they wouldn't pick Villanova. And we tell them sometimes, this is why I say it's tough on our assistants. We get to know the kid, we get to know the family, and they say, we want Villanova. And they say they want it because they want their kid to turn out like a Mikal Bridges. But we know they don't understand what it's going to take. So we have to say, like, it might not be the best place for you. And people think we're crazy. Or
Mhm.
sometimes somebody will call us with a one and done guy. They're like, yo, my guy will come in there. He'll start for you. He's good enough to play right away. He'll be out of there and in the league in a year. And they're right. But he's not going to be committed to academics and being a part of something bigger than himself and growing as a man. And that's going to affect all the other guys. So all the other parents that are expecting us to bring in guys that are good students, good men, good players, it's not fair to them. So we
Mhm.
sometimes say like, we can't do this. And people think we're crazy, but our commitment is really to the guys that are in the program and to the families that are in the program. So anybody that we bring in from the outside has got to fit that culture.
Yeah. Wow.
Boom. I mean, if you are listening and just break that whole part down. So, and to piggyback off that, talk about your system. So I understand, I was reading a book called Atomic Habits, and you can have goals, which are great, but if your systems aren't processed to really help you reach that goal, you
Mhm.
can't achieve anything. So let's talk about like your system within your coaching staff, your meetings, your expectations that you communicate clearly to athletes, to coaches. How does all of that play into the success of winning? Because I'm sure the goal is the championship, but you don't focus on the championship. You focus on the system. How are we developing our players? Your red shirt pedigree that you have, all your red shirts usually go to the league and they're really great. And I'm sure the NBA is like, okay, they came from Villanova. I know they're going to do this, 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 and this. Like, can you talk about the systems that you have in place that help you be successful at Villanova?
That's a great question, Shea, because that's what we're about here. And again, as to T's question about how do we vet out the recruits, it's do they want to be a part of a process? Do they understand
Mhm.
that this just doesn't happen overnight? Like you could bring a one and done guy in he's going to be one and done no matter where he goes.
Yep.
And you could just put him onto this campus and he's going to be one and done because he's just talented. But is he going to want to get better every day? Is he going to want to work hard to be the best student he can be? So the process, like we never talk about winning championships.
That's what I figured.
T will tell you, in our practice facility where we practice, on the court, like on the outside, when you come in, there's Mikal was National Player of the Year. There's a
captain and this and that.
Yeah. But when you walk onto the practice court, there's no NBA jerseys. There's no championship banners. There's no nothing. On the walls just say, play hard, play together, play smart, play with pride. And behind each basket is the word attitude. And that's it. There's nothing else on the walls. Like we see all these other programs, they got their pro players jerseys. Because we want our guys to come in every day and be here now. We talk about that all we can control is what we do today. We control our effort today. We control our attitude today. That's it. And so each day we want to come in, give our best effort to play hard, together, smart, and with pride. And then we want to create habits. And this is to your point, Shea.
Yeah.
It says on the before they walk in. Now, there's nothing else on the walls on the inside. Before they walk in, it says we practice to create habits that will make us successful in the most difficult situations. So our guys know when they come into practice that if you're on the first team, you wear an away jersey. On the scoreboard, you're the visitor. And every call in practice is, if it's a 50-50 call, it's going against you if you're on the first team. And that is to prepare habits. And we practice what we call attitude habits, where in practice, you're on the first team. And if they make a bad call against you and you complain in practice, it's a point for the other teams, to attitude point. Because we don't want to wait for them to get into a game and we're playing, at UCLA in front of 18,000 and we get a bad call and we say to them like, hey, come on, attitude, have a good attitude. If we didn't practice that every single day, when you're under the most pressure, you're going to respond to your habits. So everything we do is to create those habits to make us successful when we're in the most difficult situation. So we don't have to think, we just react and we resort to our habits.
Yeah, I love that.
Amazing.
I mean, it's so profound because it really just shows that the work that they have to put in and understanding like all these things they get to take with them outside of basketball, outside, that they can inject in, because you have a lot of different players from different ranges. Some are going to go into the workforce, some are going to play professionally, but all those nuggets that you just talked about, they can take with them that's going to help shape them to be professionals, to be executives, to be men. Like these are all things to be good teammates, because I talk about all the time, and this is something that I stress upon our executive team about how important it is to be a good, which I call the ideal team player. Like you have to be able to have a cohesive team. And if you don't, everything else fails. So those things, and I love when you talk about it, because I'm like, I want to hire those type of people to come work for an organization because they get it. And that does not come easy to some people, because some folks lead by their egos and they lack humility. And I know that's something that Villanova teaches, and that not just as an athlete, but just as a student, that you have to be humble. That is so important. So
what's amazing?
I love it.
And I know you're in human resources and a leader, and Shea, you're a leader at Overtime with leading people. This just recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, I've realized like this is the young people today, with social media and the me.
Look at me.
The me society, how showing what I'm doing and I get it, and getting followers and attention from me. We literally now have, I wouldn't call them seminars, but how we do our team meetings and we talk about life and we talk about how your habits and your characteristics here in basketball are going to help you in the real world. Yeah. We are starting to talk to these guys and try to literally sell them on the fact of team concepts, being a part of something bigger than yourself, that it can actually make you your best person as an individual if you actually think of others and think about how your actions impact others. And I say this, and I know it's normal to us three, but these kids now at 18 years old, they never heard that. Like when we got Mikhail, it was the craziest thing. Like, I'd go watch him play, and they used to, Shea, he played for a good high school team, not a great high school team, but a well-coached team. And Mikhail was the best player. Yeah. And everybody would play him box and one. And they would just deny him, let the other guy shoot. And the coach, people would kill his coach. And they would say, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't get Mikhail any shots. And we were saying, wait a minute, this kid can't get the ball because the other team, all they're trying to do is keep him from getting the ball. So he gets offensive rebounds. He defends. He cuts without the ball. So then Mikhail comes here and he's playing with Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, Archie, all these NBA guys. he fits in immediately because he knows how to play without the ball and he knows how to be a good teammate. So he immediately fits in. Whereas he was taught how, I think his high school coach was awesome. He was taught how to play as a good teammate. He was taught how to be a part of a team.
Yeah.
And these kids now, it's not their fault. No one ever told them that, look, if we do something for you, it impacts the other 11, 12 guys on the team. If you do something, you're representing all these other people. So if it's positive, you can impact people positively. If it's negative, you're impacting all of us. And you're a good person, and I know that matters to you. No, they never heard it. So we're actually talking to them. We're teaching them, like, look, this is actually a concept you should think about. We're not even telling them you have to do it. We're saying, you're smart. Start thinking about the fact that if I think about others and I think about how my actions impact others, it actually might make me better as a person. And most of them, actually, they're smart. They go,
makes a lot of sense.
All right.
Yeah,
but they never heard it.
Yeah.
They never heard it.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. So in that, do you, like, when you're recruiting a point guard for your team, a backup, right? Like, after you have to think about classes ahead. Like, how do you decide what type of game that person has to have for your systems at Villanova and how you construct your teams? Like, what's your thought process on that? Like, we talked to Jalen Brunson on here, and he gave us great insight to what he wanted, but what he knew he needed, right? And he knew he needed a coach like you to kind of hold him accountable as a person who had been, highly touted for a long time, McDonald's All-American and all of that. But, he had to work with you, and he thought he could never, he said he could never just like exhale, because it was always like, okay, we're pushing the limit.
Next?
So, like, how do you think about individual players in those positions? You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a thought process to that too.
It's so funny you just said that, because we just had a current player on our team who's doing great, and he's getting better and better and better every day. And his father just said to me, "Nothing's ever enough for you."
That's coach.
But then he said, but later in the conversation, he's like, "I want my son to be a pro." But I'm like, well, we can't have it both ways. Like, we can't just like stop and say, like, all right, this is it. This is as far as we're going. Like, we got to keep getting better every day if you want. But and it goes to your question, Shea, and it really is the answer to your question. And I'm not trying to be politically correct about this, but we truly, as I said to T, when we're vetting parents, we truly get intelligent people. It doesn't matter if they have their doctorate, their master's degree. As we all know, there's a lot of people, especially family members, who didn't get the opportunity to go to college, but they're very, very intelligent
and emotionally intelligent too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even more so, Shea.
Yes.
Right. Where they get that it is a process. And when we're recruiting them, like we're looking to see, will they understand, I'll use Mikhail as an example. Will he understand that we didn't say we were going to redshirt him, but we said, we're looking at this kid. He's pretty skinny. Like, I get a great story. How about this, T? Josh Hart. We all know these kids as a little kid, as 17, 16-year-old Shea. Now you see them.
They're men.
Josh Hart.
Josh
Hart's
is married.
got his own podcast. T. I'm on his podcast, and he's pouring me a glass of wine and telling me about Napa Valley. And I'm like, come on, man.
Excuse me, Josh.
I have to
Telling
get
you
on
about
your back
golf.
to go to. I just have to go back to get to class, and tell me about golf. And I put the golf
You're
club
like,
in here for the first time. You didn't even know how to hold it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's crazy.
It's like a proud parent. It makes you so proud.
Yeah.
But I was on Josh's podcast, and we told this story how Josh was the star. Mikhail got here, and Josh was a killer, an absolute killer. And Mikhail would compete, always would compete, but he was so skinny. And as a freshman, Josh would kill him, like score on him 3-4 times. But Mikhail was so long, every once in a while, Josh would go up, and Mikhail would just, with his length, block his shot and embarrass Josh. and Josh was so competitive, Mikhail would block his shot, go down on the break, and Josh would be chasing him down like a mad dog. And we knew what was going to happen. And we would say, it would be like, no, Josh, don't do it. Don't. And he would just crush Mikhail, just crush him, knock him to the floor, go into the wall. And we'd be like, Josh, come on, man. You can't. Mikhail would just pop right up. But it would never.
That's right, son. Don't you dare let them try to let Josh, I'm gonna have a conversation with you after this.
Josh, we gotta get you on here, Josh.
you gotta ask him. He would do it all the time, literally. He couldn't control himself. As soon as he would do it, he'd feel bad. And I would get him aside, I'm like, Josh, come on, man. He's like 165 pounds, and you're gonna kill him. You can't. And but then a year later he gets stronger. Now it's a battle. But
now what, Josh? Huh?
Yeah. And he's so proud of.
Let's bring it on now, boo.
And now Josh takes responsibility for him too. Like, that's my young boy.
They're like brothers. They're all like, they all consider themselves brothers too.
Do.
And I think that's the special part of Villanova.
It is, and we have to. You got to have people to your question, Shea, about fitting them in. You got to say, you can't tell exactly where everybody's going to fit in, but you got to say, like, if we're recruiting Mikhail Bridges, hey, if he comes in and he's good enough and he's thin and he can still battle, hey, he's playing. But we got to know there's a possibility he could come in here and be too skinny and get knocked around. We might have to redshirt him. How are they going to react to this?
Right.
Are his people going to be smart enough to understand it's just strength? He just needs a year to get stronger. Yeah. He's going to be fine. Or their ego is going to be such that they're going to be like, well, not my son, where your ego gets in the way of your intelligence.
Yeah.
So we got to find those people. And we really do. Even Jalen Brunson, I don't know if he told you, but everybody in the country told him, you're going to start. And we had Ryan Archidiakono as our starting point guard. We weren't sure we were going to be able to start him or not. And we didn't say you're going to start. So we had to say, like, is this guy smart enough to know if I get in there and I compete and start, good. Dante DiVincenzo, a first round pick, never started here.
Yeah.
But he's smart enough to know I'm getting better. I'm in a good spot. My ego's not going to get involved here. I'm going to use my intelligence. So we have been blessed to have really intelligent people that we're working with.
But I would to that end point of DiVincenzo too. When he did play, he was very effective. So again, I think also that's to your choosing of, like, when you get in there, these are not charity moments. These are, I need you to get in there. I need you to get 10. I need you to get a rebound. And knowing your role and being able to turn it on, knowing you're not starting, but you know you have that role where you need to come in and give X amount of output in order to be seen, right? To fill yourself up, to say, like, I'm contributing to the team, but also enough to show the scouts and everybody that you're good enough to play in the league. I think that's also a credit to the system that you're creating, or that 100%. You've created.
Well, you know, Shea, that gets me to an interesting point that's unique here, that, you know, I don't know, times are changing. I don't know how long this is still going to work, but we use the saying, the greatest gift we can give you is the truth, especially in this world of basketball, because everybody, you know, these guys, even more than when Mikhail came out and you guys came out, like, these guys now, they're coming in, they're making money when they come in, you know, rightfully so. So there's so much more hype. There's so much more ego involved.
It's different now. Yeah.
We have to change how we approach it, but yes, it's definitely a
struggle. So we've always said to the guys,
another dynamic.
Look, we've always said to the guys, look, we're not going to play you. You're not going to get playing time here just because we want to make you happy or because we recruited you. When you get playing time here, you're going to know you earned it. And you're going to know that we've determined that your teammates can trust you and that they've been through practice with you where they know. And that was kind of the thing with Mikhail. We're like, I dude's 165 pounds. When he gets out on court this year as a freshman, they're going to be worried. Like, he's getting knocked around in practice. Is he going to get knocked around right now while we're playing, you know, UCLA or Kentucky? So it's not fair to the guys that are playing. Yeah. So when you do get out there, you have earned that right. And everybody on the court knows you earned it. And they know that you're good enough and you know you earned it.
Exactly.
It wasn't just given to you because we recruited you. You earned it.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing, to your point. Dante knew Like he's killing in practice. When he steps on the floor, everyone on the floor has got confidence. You know, he scored like, what was it, T? Like 39 or something in the national championship game.
Oh yeah. I think that game helped him for the folks that were seeing the scouts, like, oh my God, like this dude is an NBA player, and that game changed his life. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
That
And his
game
attitude
changed
towards
his life.
coming off the bench. Like
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
attitude being like,
Exactly.
I don't care if I start or not. When I go out there, I'm baking a cake. Like I'm baking all these people out here. You know what I
And
mean?
I'm going to
Like,
make an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree, Shea.
And his teammates, like if you know, like the whole world was like, oh my God, national championship game, guy doesn't even start, scores 39.
You guys
Nobody
are
on
like,
our team was surprised.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Because they
Yeah.
see it every day. And
He's
Dante
great.
had the confidence because, you know, we talked about in our program, it doesn't matter whether you start or it's what you do every day. Like you know, every day in practice, you're creating habits that are going to make you successful. You know, you're bringing a great work ethic, great attitude every day. You're ready. And if you're on the court for us, that means everyone's got confidence in you. And he was a great example of that, of that process, you know, that we talked about. And all, you know, all the guys, Mikhail did the same thing. They all do that. And I really look at it like we are blessed. That's why we have our mothers organization. We are, you know, we always thank the moms, because if the moms don't back you, it's not happening. The players aren't going to trust you if the moms don't back you. And I'm not dumb enough to think if I'm telling this guy something and his mom's not saying, listen to Jay, it's not happening.
It's
they'll
not
be
working.
polite. They'll be polite, but they're not going to believe in what we're saying.
Yeah.
And so that's why we thank our moms. We have our moms group, and we thank our moms every year, because if not for the moms, and because the kids know sometimes the dads can get crazy. They're just basketball nuts.
Yeah. We have to be the
are all
ones
about
that
the moms are
to
about
bring it
the
home.
heart.
Yeah, that's right. And give that balance too. Like you're showing love, you have expectations, but you know, we still want to make sure, because I used to tell Mikhail exactly what you said. I said, when you get on the court, make the best of it. Like show coach that you deserve to be out there. And at some point you're going to get your time to shine and you're going to get your opportunity to start. But who cares about that? But when you step on that court, make them know who you are. And it's the same conversations that I had with him when he was in college, the same conversations that I'm having with him in the NBA. But I would be remorse. I know like your time is limited, so I have to make sure I do a few things before you go. One, I have to just thank the moms. We have to actually have our moms brunch on Saturday, so I'm really excited about that. We're going to bring some moms on our pod to just talk about the Villanova experience, because they're a huge part of the program. And speaking of a wonderful mom, I have to give a shout out to Patty. Patty is amazing, and she is always an inspiration to us moms. You know, being a mom, being a wife of a coach, which is not easy.
I always say head assistant coach.
Yep, she is like she's no joke, and she's definitely has contributed to the overall success of the program. So shout out to Patty. We love you, Patty.
Shout out to Patty. Can't wait to meet you.
Yeah. So that's super important to
coaches,
me.
The longer we do this, the more I realize coach's wife is the worst job in the world. It is like
thankless.
It is like you get
hard.
All the bad sides of us. Like we have to act positive in front of everybody else, and then we come home and who do we complain to? Patty. You know, she look at me sometime like you don't like where, or you give all your energy to everybody else. You're exhausted. She comes home and you're like, where?
Patty needs a psychology degree.
You give everything to everybody else. Now I'm home and you're dead, you know? And then same thing with like giving me perspective, you know, keeping me humble when you are having success, and like, you know, it's still about the family first, you know. And my girl Patty's going through a tough time. We just had to put Moses down.
Oh no, Moses! We love our fur babies.
Moses and Rosie within the last 2 months, and Patty.
No.
So here's a great coach's wife. Here's a great coach's wife story. We have an old golden retriever, and we've been taking care. Patty takes care of him, and we love him. And we just lost our other golden retriever, and Sonny's still going strong.
Sonny's still going strong. He's in Phoenix with Mikhail. I miss him. I was just tearing up talking to him on FaceTime. So I got to get back out there so I can see him.
When I recruited Mikhail, we talked about our dogs as much as we talked about basketball. But so we're waiting, and Moses is getting old. We're gonna have to put him down, and we go to play at St. John's the other night. Of course, when I leave to go to St. John's, she's got to take him 75 pounds, get him in a car by himself. She's putting him down. I'm on the phone. She's by herself with him. But it's like typical coach's mom. Like everyone leaves, she's got to take care of everything, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm up in New York, and she's got to do it all by herself. That's coach's mom.
Yeah, we love you,
wife.
Patty.
Yeah, we love you.
You
Patty.
And she's a mom too, so that's another layer of
yeah.
Right. So thank you, Patty.
A mom,
for all
and then
that
moms to other people's kids as well.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So hosting and all that stuff, which is like
that's right.
So important to the program, because I know I love that. My coach
essential. Yeah. Great. But before we let you go, Coach, because we have just so many athletes out there who aspire and they want to play at the collegiate level. They're doing all this work. They want to make it. They want to play professionally. And when they get advice from someone like you, it goes such a long way. So before you go, maybe you could just take us home with what advice do you have for athletes who either want to play at the collegiate level, or if their goal is to be a professional athlete, what advice do you have for them that will help them just put some more tools in their tool belt?
I think I would have to say there's a number of things I'd like to share with them, but run your own race. Be the best that you can be every day, and don't compare yourself to someone else that you think is ahead of you, or even someone that's behind you that you think you're better than them. If you think you're better than somebody, remain humble and hungry to keep getting better. If you see someone surpassing you, don't let your ego get in the way. Ego is the enemy. Yeah. You want to make sure that you just stay on your journey every day. You control your effort every day. Are you putting out your best effort every day? And you're approaching each day with a great attitude. If you can do that every day, we just had our Hall of Fame here. Mikhail will be inducted when he's done playing. But it's interesting. It's an athlete from each sport, and every one of them gets up, and they don't talk about championship they won. They talk about failures they had, tough times they had, and how they overcame that to be successful. So that's why I say run your own journey. You get some tough times, just keep grinding every day, and just ask yourself at the end of the day, did I give my best effort today? Did I have a great attitude today? And if you didn't, just be honest with yourself. Next day, best effort I can give, best attitude I can have. That's what I control.
Awesome. Love that. Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate all of your time. We know how busy you are. I will be there on Saturday to see the guys play and have you lead Marquette. I think you guys play on Saturday.
Saturday was Seton Hall.
Seton Hall. Okay, Seton Hall. Right. So I will be there in the stands cheering for you and for those guys. But you are just a legend, and you are a phenomenal coach. So thank you for all that you've done and that you're continuing to do for the program.
I want to thank you guys, and I get some street cred back home with my wife and daughter who are all about this, and I get some strong, intelligent women that run our family.
Awesome.
I love it.
And I get a strong, intelligent one that runs the basketball program here in Arlisha. So I'm proud of you guys and your podcast. And
Thank you.
Shea, great to meet you. Keep it rolling.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
And T, you know how proud we all are of you and how much we love you.
Thank you, Coach. Have a great day. We appreciate you.
See you guys.
V's up.